reaching out the dark. Could be demonic in nature.
What are you doing, Akiva?
The story began when my wife saw lights glowing across the wall in the bedroom.
Don't you get up on the couch and
A few
play?
years back, my wife and I were purchasing a home. It was in a very
You look uncomfortable.
and quiet.
Good night!
One evening, as we were watching television, she turned and said, "I just saw some lights."
There's your ball. There's the cat hand.
Where? She was in the bedroom. Across the wall.
I had noticed a light in the master bedroom. I was up in the corner. I'd sat in that chair, 100 times. It was the first time I'd ever seen it, so I right away didn't think it was a car.
I looked outside and I didn't see any cars. I didn't hear anything. And since I couldn't find a natural explanation for this, I got the camcorder and actually went to the master bedroom and I actually started taking some pictures. There's actually a light inside that room. I saw a light up towards the ceiling, and I took 2 pictures in succession towards the ceiling, and it mushroomed out into a white orb. Only in the evening, when it was completely dark, was I able to catch these light anomalies. They were snake-like, rod-like, different colors.
I was getting a little concerned about the whole thing, because it wasn't something I could explain.
It kind of dawned on me that I've seen them somewhere before. When I was visiting up in Connecticut, I found that one picture of me standing as my dad. You can actually see these 2 light anomalies entering into the side of my head. That was the first inkling that possibly these things actually followed me from Connecticut to Florida.
Which one are you going to give me?
I think that perhaps taking the pictures and, open something up.
I'm making your message.
It's just not a good thing to mess around with something you don't know about.
There's someone who's wrong at bed.
She said, "Don't mess with that. Put it down."
Continued to
Mommy,
proceed to stop taking
Daddy.
pictures. Let it go. Let it go.
So that's and they did. One morning, I woke up, and all of a sudden, a black image started right in front of me, right in front of my face.
Will you shut up?
Growl. And it exited right through the controller doorway into the other guest room. At this point, I felt it could be malevolent in nature, maybe demonic. My heart started racing. I felt extremely fearful.
That worried me a little bit because now it's starting to take a turn for the physical. We decided that we're just taking too much of a chance.
My wife and I both decided that we have to move, and we decided to move back onto our kennel property. We own an upscale dog boarding facility in Ocala, Florida, situated on a 10-acre. It also has a bungalow type of living quarters as well. After we moved to the bungalow, it was actually quiet for about 6 months or so. There's actually no paranormal activity, nothing going on. We had a very long 900-foot driveway at the kennel, and off to our left was a vacant piece of property. It had an old shed on it, and I had this sense that there was a presence, and that somebody was actually standing on the property, just standing. I looked down to my left, I saw my Alaskan alligator. He was actually frozen. He was hunched down just a little bit. He was just staring and gazing at something. And all of a sudden, I did feel this negative entity actually attach itself to me.
I'm on my way.
And what it did, it projected its anger on me and its hatred on me. And I can feel this from my head to my toe. The pressure was different. There was a heavy feeling. I had to fight with every 30 seconds of breath. And what appeared to be toned hand reaching out of the dark, and it was at ground level, and this alarmed me.
there was one picture that was taken that had what appeared to be a hand coming up out of the dirt. And that was very, very freaky. At that point, I knew things had gone probably a little bit too far, and he had again opened up whatever can of worms or whatever portal, whatever you want to say, to this energy.
And I felt that this was demonic in nature, that this thing can physically harm me. That was the first time that these things followed me from the house now. I'm the focal point of the haunts. And that's when I felt I was a prisoner. And there's nowhere to run to. There's nowhere I can move to. I'm trapped.
I was definitely angry with my husband for starting up this whole thing again, because that was one of the reasons why we had left the house. This is something we don't know anything about, and we have no business knowing anything about.
I contacted a paranormal investigator in Connecticut. He told me to stop taking photographs now. You take photographs, what you do is you empower them. I mean, these experiences has changed my life dramatically.
It does seem that he is attracting a lot of this energy. I really sincerely hope that Steve does not take any more pictures, and I hope that he can get together with the paranormal investigator to try to figure out what we can do to get rid of the negative energy that's happening around us.
Unless this thing wants to leave on its own, it's not going to.
We're gonna get the eggs out. What? We're gonna get the eggs out. Can we get the eggs out?
I was amazed. I don't know what they are. That, in my mind, told me there's somebody here.
When I saw the floating ahead, I ran so fast I actually slammed into the wall.
My ghost story started when I moved into a 200-year-old house in St. Clairsville, in rural Pennsylvania. St. Clairsville is an unusual town. There is one stop sign in the town. There are not that many families that live there anymore. Literally, St. Clairsville is a ghost town. The house we live in is the oldest house in the little village. It has been everything from a general store, a trading post, hotel. It was actually a strip club at one time. 8 years ago, my girlfriend Patty and I moved in, and that's when everything started.
I live in a raggedy-ass house like that.
When we moved in, the boys were very little. I was there one day, and they were at their grandma's house, and I heard what sounded like kids running up and down the hallway. I mean, it was just that pat, 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 just like two little kids chasing each other. I remember, it's like, well, wait a second, the boys aren't here. There are kids in the house. It came from the house. What the hell is that? Another time, the boys were gone, I heard giggling. And I go out and look, they're not there. There was a point when I thought, okay, did I really hear that? Did somebody leave something on? And I look through the house and there's nothing on. My next thought is, we have ghosts in the house.
When I was younger, it used to terrify me to live in the house.
It is so strange living in a haunted house, and the boys do feel scared on occasion.
I felt like there was someone chasing me from the bathroom out to the living room. I was freaked out really bad.
We've had guests that have things happen. They've been sleeping in one of the bedrooms and been touched at night. The door opens on its own. We've had people call our names. There's nobody else in the house. There's no real pattern to it. It just comes out of the blue. Every couple months or so, I have something end up missing. The children's spirits that are in the house, they will take jewelry. I lost a ring once, and a few days later, I found it when I opened my drawer up to get a pair of socks out. It was sitting right on top. Well, I knew the day before I had gotten a pair of socks out of that drawer, and there was no ring there. So somehow it had to get there. So that, in my mind, just told me, yes, there's somebody here. every Christmas we take a lot of photos. And these orbs, these balls of light will appear in them. I don't know what they are. They're some form of energy. It can be disconcerting. I guess those children are there. What kids don't like Christmas morning? We have had our Christmas tree lights turned on when we're not at home. Being an old house with old wiring, the electricity is always a concern. I always worry about fires. And I knew it was off then. No one could have been home to turn it on. It's physically impossible.
There's this fiber optic angel that just came on by itself.
It's been turned on when no one's at home.
We'll come home and it will be plugged in and it will be all glittery and shiny.
And I've actually seen this because I know it's been turned off when I left the house.
I believe the ghost children are plugged in the angel ordinance.
Just
My
keep
girlfriend
doing.
and I moved into the house. We didn't know the full history of the place. We heard from the previous owner there were some rooms that his children and his children's friends would not go into. They were afraid of something. I do feel very unnerved by this.
More
I hate to be around the grumpy old guy. He has gray beard, long hair, his voice, and it's kind of scratchy. The second floor was his home for his family.
We live in the first floor. We don't use the upper floors. The only time I go up there is if there's a problem.
That's one of the worst places to be. And there's a lot of problems up there. Everybody goes up there feels like they're being watched. I've heard the old guy grumbling up there. I was on the edge. Something moved. I would run out there as fast as I could. Diving out of the window on the ground outside.
My girlfriend Patty has seen a woman at the foot of the bed. Seeing this woman has been disconcerting for her because, I mean, no one wants to be watched while they're sleeping.
All I know is her name is Elizabeth. She's 30 years old. All I seen of Elizabeth was a head. She had her pulled back in a bonnet. I was just like, what is that? I ran so fast I actually slammed into the wall.
I look at it like they are there. We do know their presence is there. I'm sure they've been there before we got there, and I'm sure they're going to be there after we're gone.
Right in my face.
I'm Patty.
And it's got him by the throat.
Can't even move.
All hell was freaking loose.
I almost fell off the chair. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I was experiencing something that was not normal, something that was out of this world.
My heart was leaping out. I knew instantaneously that it was my son.
I don't know what it was. I've never seen anything like that before.
He couldn't explain.
It was amazing to me. I just couldn't believe what I was seeing.
It was a heavy pressing down on my mind. It became overpowering.
I was really freaking out. I don't like those following me home. I don't want them in my house.
I couldn't see what was pinning me down. Then I felt a tongue go into my ear. I just yelled, "Get out of here!"
Yeah, give about 5 minutes before you're driving.
It freaked me out to think that there was an orb that you could actually see a face in.
This ghost was angry at me. The smoke enters my mouth. He's coming inside me. I'm being possessed. It hit me
You
pretty
gonna be getting to
hard.
bed?
It's for real.
It's 11:01.
He wants to decorate Easter eggs.
My whole story began when I was working at St. Augustine Lighthouse
What?
in St. Augustine, Florida, as a museum guide. I've always been drawn to history. St. Augustine being the oldest city in America is peppered with tragic events, tumultuous battles between the British and the Spanish, pirates and the Civil War battles. There has been a watchtower out there since the 1500s when the Spanish settled in St. Augustine. St. Augustine Lighthouse is under 50 feet tall. It was built between 1871 and 1874. It's 209 steps up to the top. When I started working at St. Augustine Lighthouse, people kept on telling me this place is haunted. From the director down to the janitor, they had ghost stories. I didn't know what to believe because